we understand that you have now placed your assets in a blind trust, so you don't know what's happening to them going forward, but you knew what they were going into that blind trust. So what are they?
Stephanie, I follow the rules of the Ethics Commissioner.
Rules say that those assets should be publicly disclosed within 120 days. Serving as Prime Minister now, with Canadians not being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you sought to avoid.
What possible conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance.
Are you saying you are not open to any conflict of interest?
Yes.
You spent most of your life in the private sector. There's no possible conflict of interest in your assets. It's very difficult to believe.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary. Your line of questioning is trying to invent new rules. I'm complying with the rules that Parliament has laid out and the responsibilities of the Ethics Commissioner.
If he were to needle Carney in terms of, just how successful he is, where his assets, how they're placed, how they're being managed, if there are any, conflicts that Canadians should be aware of. And I know Carney and his team have stated that they've, have everything cleared by the Ethics Commissioner. But I don't think that's going to stop Poilievre or any of his front bench MPs or any of the right-wing kind of media machine to not point that out. I do think that's fair game. I think and it's somewhat unfortunate that the Liberal leadership race was so truncated and so friendly because Carney didn't really receive any real jabs. He hasn't been tested. So if he's walking into a debate with Poilievre, which, would arguably happen at some point, or if he's going to become, and he already is, but if he's going to be on the receiving end of a rage machine or a disinfo machine, then they've got to be ready for it. And the other thing I would point out is that a guy like Carney, whether you're from business or you're from the tech world, the press that you kind of engage with is a lot more compliant. I don't know how I would put it. Like they're a lot more amicable, I guess. There's not that necessarily that adversarial sort of role that you see with a political press. And so he'd be well advised to not come across as snippy, because the last thing you want is for a Carney to not only be positioned by the opposition as somebody who's like an elitist, out of touch, flying on PJs everywhere before he got this gig, but he also is, comes across as snipey or snippy when he's interacting with local journalists or with the press gallery.